Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers! Tiki here, and welcome to the merge episode of the Soul Imagineer Tribal Council! Away, 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 yi, away, 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 yi. And with me tonight, we have one of the first people to get kicked off of the Soul Imagineer, an early pre-merge villain, if you will. Say hello to Sam.
Hey guys.
And sadly, we have the merge boot. We have the big guy himself. We have the man of the hour here. What's up, England? How you taking this?
Pretty good. I'm sitting here drinking my my Coke Life.
Your Coke Life. All right, all right.
Yeah.
I hope that Coke Life is sustenance enough for the fact that you don't have life in this game anymore. Ooh. All right, so yeah, it is the Soul Imagineer Tribal Council, and this is it's kind of going to be a new format because instead of just talking about like the tribe dynamics, which there weren't a lot of at all because there's no tribes now, we're talking about 8 individual projects, and we're kind of talking about these players now on an individual level. So really kind of flying by the seat of our pants in terms of like how we're going to do this. But the one topic I want to address now that I have England on air is England now throughout this whole game, from day one, from the first episode, from the first recap show, we've been talking about you as a threat. I'm sure this isn't the first time in a competition that your names come up as threat status. Like, how do you deal with that throughout the game? Did you have any sort of, like, strategy to try and seem less threatening, or were you just going to be like, okay, you know what, I know what my skills are, I'm going to use them, and if it gets me voted off, so be it?
The tactic I took was pretty much the latter. I played every challenge as best as I could for that week, and, it carried me through to the merge, and in the merge I did the best I could for that week. And it got me off. And it wasn't, I think this was all politics. All of it was politics. In fact, the only thing that kind of rubs me the wrong way is 2 of the players didn't even post. So, do I think that's right? Yeah, it's the game. It's the way the game's played. But it is all politics. It's not about the strength of the project at this point, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's, and I kind of feel that it's been politics since day one.
It's been politics since JDM. JDM was politics.
Yeah. Although that was a really strange. I think the best way to sum up this entire series has just been strange and just shocking and surprising. Because some of the people that I expected to make it to the merge didn't make it. It's been a crazy season.
I think hence kind of the survivor nature of this game, though, because it's like in a game like this, in a game like Sorcerer's Apprentice or something like that, your strengths can carry you through the whole thing. Here you are literally relying on other people and other people's votes, and so I absolutely agree with England. It is 100% political at this stage. I mean, it's like, we're playing for the immunities, and don't get me wrong, I'm definitely the person where it's like I'm going to be fighting like hell for every immunity, regardless if I need it or not, just because that's kind of the game. And I will say right now, very out in the open, if the 2 aforementioned people don't get their act together and, maybe start posting every project, I don't know, it's getting to the point where I almost kind of wish that our Michael would inflict some sort of 3-strike system here, where if you don't turn in a project 3 times, then you're out. But what would you guys think of that?
I wouldn't make any changes this season, but that's something to consider for a future version. Someone should not be able to, and this isn't a jab at anyone, but someone should not be able to sit on the very back burner for every single project and make it all the way to the end. Or maybe that's the case, and that's just because again, this game is not like Sorcerers. This is a political game.
Mhm.
So sometimes you don't want to show your skills. You don't want people to be afraid of you. You don't want them to see what you can do. Um,
Mhm.
and because you don't want to be perceived as a threat. So
Sure.
maybe that's what these people are doing. I'm not sure.
But
Um,
I think had I still been in, and I didn't want to, show any of my skill sets or anything, which even from the get-go were kind of lacking now. Um, I think I would kind of just downplay my skills and turn in something slapstick just to turn something in. And because I think that as we see in the vote, um, the people who didn't turn in, they did get a penalty from the whole group as collectively.
Which was interesting because I thought that the fact that the votes were being stacked on Little Giant's one vote made for a suspenseful reveal. I thought that was kind of an interesting way, the way England. I don't know who else was voting with you, but I thought that was interesting the way that we got 3 votes stacked on Little Giants. It just goes to show, like, if Little Giants and Jokers had actually been able to vote, the entire process could have gone completely differently because it really did throw everything off whack.
well, but I also think the politics changed now that we're at the merge. So the difference that kind of carried me through in the group phase is no one really wanted me off their group. They may want
Oh
me
yeah,
out of the game,
absolutely.
but they didn't want me off their group because I can carry the tribe to a, or at least help carry the tribe to a win. Do we win all the time? No, but I can do a lot of things and everybody knows it. I'm not trying to brag. I can. And so, but where that shoots me in the foot is the minute it becomes an individual competition.
Of course.
Which is exactly where we're at now.
Because you're
like I
Batman,
said,
man. Seriously.
Batman. I'm gonna change my logo or my avatar again.
Yeah, you need to do
Yes.
that. That would be hilarious.
But
No, but
yeah, I
seriously,
mean,
you are just like kind of the master, not just the jack of all trades, the master of all trades when it comes to this game. It's like you can do really good images, you can put together videos, you can put together really flowing websites. And of course your detail is really spot on a lot of the times. Like you are just. I'll give you credit though. The one thing that I feel people kind of like played a little bit too much into in terms of the hype surrounding you was everyone thought you were some sort of like big strategic player, and I can tell you firsthand working with you, England, I know you're not, and I'm not really saying that as a bad thing. I think you made a very distinct decision to not try and get involved in the politics and not try and make alliances. Am I right about that?
completely right. And that was the angle I took. I was just gonna do the best I could, and that's what I did. So I know why I was booted out. I don't feel like it's a reflection. If anything, it's a compliment. So it's part of the game. It really is. And I'm
Because
gonna
7
enjoy
people
watching
felt
the
that they
rest of
could
the
beat
game.
you. Well, I mean, I guess not 7, but you know what I mean. The majority of the people felt that they could not beat you at all.
I'm not sure that's the case. I mean, everybody's
Yeah.
gotten better over the past year. They've learned new tools. They've gotten better with the tools that they know. IDI did a good job with his video, even though I picked on him about it. But so he's getting into his video editing skills, which knocked him out in the Elite Eight. So, I'm not so sure we'll be sitting here 6 months down the road, and I'm the jack of all trades, master of none. Everybody's kind of growing, and that's why I like doing it. I'm better at this year than I was last year.
Sure,
And
sure.
these challenges give me an excuse to play around with video software because I'm doing something. I'm not just reading a dummies book and trying to learn how to use Photoshop. I'm actually doing something with it. And is it always good?
Absolutely.
No, it's not always good, but I always get better. Every time you do it, you get better. And that's kind of where that comes from. So.
Well, we'll talk about our experiences on Sclarona together a lot more when we have the chance to do an exit interview, which I definitely want to do with you. But yeah, I mean, working firsthand with you, it was not. I'm not going to sit here and say it wasn't easy to write your name down just because, you are a huge threat, but it's I really I really felt like throughout that time, especially during the Pokemon project, and I've talked about this before, but, I really felt like we kind of, I don't know, became like brothers in war or something during that Squarona time, because we really went through a lot of ups and downs. But we'll get into that. We'll get all into that in
Yeah.
the exit interview.
Future interview.
But so with that in mind, gentlemen, we have 6 projects that are up, not including Joker's Wilds and Little Giants. So Jeff Probst can just go ahead and throw their torches on the floor in anger, because we're not going to be covering them. And we figured that the way to do it would be to go from... Now, do you guys... Let me ask you guys, do you like how R. Michael specifically ranks everyone?
I thought that was a nice touch. At the same time, I think depending on how he ranks people, it kind of can inadvertently become a kill list.
That's what I'm thinking.
People.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. And look who was number 2 on that list.
Yeah, I agree with Sam. I'm not sure the ranking is... I don't know. I'm not going to say it's a bad idea.
You know what? I think he's doing it intentionally. I think, Sam, what you just said, I think that's exactly why he is doing it. Because it's like, okay, it's like you want to work as hard as you can, but but the rankings are going to come out, and people are going to have a chance to look at it, and, you're going to have an average, and if someone's, like, going into the top 2 or 3, like 3 times in a row, that's just going to look threatening. I mean, it just is. It's just naturally going to look threatening on them. So I got to say, if that is R. Michael's intention, as a fellow producer myself, I got to say I got to give that a thumbs up. It adds a new kind of layer and twist to the whole thing, which is what I'm all about, just finding new kind of dynamics to work through as kind of like a student of the Survivor game myself. So
I think R. Michael.
I can also see your guys' point, but keep in mind, if what you guys are saying is true, and like I said, as someone like me who scored in the top 2 this round, I would think that it would worry me, but it just kind of excites me because, like I said, it's just a new little wrinkle. But anyways, let's get into it. So 6th place we had Zwyland's project, and Zwyland turned in a project that was a retheme of the Pixar place. Yes. Now, what do you guys think of this?
I actually really like this one. Pixar Place is in DHS. It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite new areas because I think it works really well. Personally, if I were doing DHS, I would divide the whole area into different studios. So Pixar Studios, the whole idea and concept of it fits really well in with that, and I think Zwi did a really good job with it in general.
I do question just entirely like copying over Cars Land and making that like part of a new expansion. It's because Cars Land is a huge land to begin with. Like that is a lot of space. I don't know, England. Do you have anything to say about that in terms of realism?
Well, there's plenty of space at DHS to do that, but
is there?
I don't.
I
would
know that myself.
But
so.
It's a larger park. The problem is DHS is about 2/3 the back lot tour, which is now closed.
Oh, okay,
Exactly.
I hear ya.
DHS is really gridlocked in terms of what to do with it because they had that whole studio thing.
But I thought Zwei's project was okay. I liked where he was going with the website. It felt kind of like he started something but didn't finish it.
Yeah, I think with a lot of these projects, I would like to see more detail in the attractions. Like, he has an Incredibles attraction, but literally all it says is, let's see, it's a simulator, it's from the first-person point of view, which is cool. I'll admit that is cool. You get to choose the family. So it's like, those are cool ideas. You know what I mean? Having a simulator, getting to choose the family member and having it from those point of view. But that's literally it. He doesn't develop any scenes or anything, so that's very problematic to me. The fact that it's like a good idea, but nothing in terms of detail.
I liked where he was going with the island and the flea circus. I thought those were.
I think the flea circus was probably my favorite part of the attraction, to be honest. The favorite part of the expansion.
And kind of going back to your point of detail and there being more detail in all these projects, I think that is the one thing that everyone in this competition, or well, gripe, this competition is detail. Like, I think that's one communal thing that everyone here kind of needs to work on, is adding more detail to their projects and explaining them more.
Yeah, I mean, I felt I put plenty of detail into a lot of my stuff. Really, the only problem was I had kind of the technical issue that I'll get into, another technical drama turning in the project. Who would have thought? But you guys can still hear me okay, right?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Okay,
I'm not sure getting extremely detailed is necessarily for this type of competition. This is different than when you post your own thread. I'm not sure it's always the best choice. You could always get more detailed, but by the same right, you can also slog it down with so much information that people actually glaze over the big points of your presentation.
True.
And for that, again, I noted it, so I don't feel bad saying it. Tiki ran into this, where you could tell by the time he got towards the end of his project, he was done with detail. He didn't want to do it anymore. He flat out said it. He's like, do you want to read another 50 things about merch? You know, and I'm like, why didn't you just cut that out? Why did you even put that in your presentation? Because you didn't want to list another 50 merch items. But he's not wrong. I don't want to read, okay, well, I want to read unique merchandise. I don't want to read, okay, I'm going to have Mickey Mouse t-shirts. Duh.
Right.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
I think there's definitely areas where detail.
Your project, England, unless we have anything else to say about why.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to say about it that I haven't already said. My project, I mean, I like it. It was a quick slap together thing. Literally, I thought that the due date or the due time was 7:30 p.m. and I was still at work. I've had a busy week, and so I gave up and I thought I would just submit late. And then I go to the grocery store after getting off work and I'm just checking my phone and I noticed that it's been pushed to 10:30. So I rush home. I don't get home until 9:45, and everything you see there, everything, including the map, was done between 9:45 and 10:30.
Oh wow! Well, good job.
10:27 or something like that. I was sweating bullets.
Yeah, that's speed work for you, man.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, but that's why a lot of it are like, there's going to be a ride. There's nothing else.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the big example in terms of your project is when you have Indiana Jones Adventure or whatever, and it's just like, oh, join Indiana Jones on the next thrilling adventure, and I'm like, okay.
That's why. So, not my best.
I think the only thing I would have added if I was reloading to his Pixar Studios would have maybe been a cereal bar, specifically like in Pixar Studios, because that's always kind of been a big thing that stuck out in Pixar. So that's kind of my last comment on Zwee's project. Something with cereal would have been nice to see.
Let's see, I'm trying to think of what else you had, England. Whoa, did Sam freeze? Or did I freeze? Hello?
You went black on my side. I can't see you.
Okay, what about now?
Now I can see you.
Yeah.
Okay, dear God. Okay. Sam, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, I apologize for that. My computer's kind of like on the fritz right now, but we'll work through it. Okay, so Sam, anything to say about England's project?
I actually think it was my favorite this week. I thought it was in general really well done, and I think it fits in with the whole idea of, or the direction I think Disney's trying to go with DHS in bringing more studio formatting in kind of like studio lands. So having a Lucasfilms land, I think it really worked, and I liked the inclusion of all of the different Lucasfilm, I guess IPs or brand. So overall, I think England's was England undoubtedly was my favorite this week. So.
Well, thanks.
You're welcome. But yeah, I think just in general in all these competitions, the ones that I like are the ones that I could see happening, but at the same time are still creative and immersive. So and I thought you hit that very well.
I'm not sure. Did we lose Tiki?
I think we did.
All right, let's keep going then. We'll talk about him behind his back. Let's move on to his project.
Okay.
Actually, no, let's not. Let's do IDIs.
Okay. I'm trying to go up.
IDI did another Pixar place.
Okay.
And I'll start off. What I really liked about this, and I mentioned it in the review that I did already for him, was that he tried to take a unique way to do the presentation. So he tried to do it as pretend this is a fan site from 4 years or 5 years in the future, talking about Pixar Place. And I think he did all right with it. But when you read through the project, when he gets to the Pixar Place 2, that's where he crammed all his information in because he didn't distribute it out throughout the entire site. So it became a very heavy read right at the end. Is that Tiki? Is he back?
Is he?
No.
I don't see him. I think I agree with what you're saying, and I'm actually reading through your review, and I agree with a lot of that, with a lot of what you're saying. I don't know. I think like you were saying earlier with content and detail. I think there is a fine line between cramming too much content in that doesn't need to be there, and that isn't essential to the project, and being detailed and stuff. And I think I don't know. I think that's kind of where IDI fell. He fell in between having a lot of content, having content that wasn't necessarily needed, but at the same time still kind of pulling out some creative stuff, especially with the presentation and doing what he did with that.
Yeah, I think he was trying to go for, and this kind of reminds me of what Vox and I did with the Marvel Studios for Sorcerer's Apprentice, trying to take a different route to get you interested in reading the project. And I wholly applaud it. I think it was a good idea.
Hello?
I think he focused a little too much on
Hello?
it. Hey, welcome back.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry about that.
We moved on. We talked about.
Why's website crashed my my web browser's Flash player?
Oh, no worries.
So,
we talked about you back.
Okay. So what project are we on?
We just finished up, I guess, IDIs.
Yeah.
IDIs. Okay. Well, I have some things to say about IDI. I just
perfect.
I gotta say I just love the way he presented it. Is like like the fan blog and everything like that, and then like all the build up to the announcement. I thought I was like really sucked into it in terms of that. I thought that was a really unique, creative way to pitch an armchair Imagineering project. I really liked it. Having said that, of course, I'm sure you guys touched on this. There wasn't, again, this is kind of a recurring issue with these projects. There wasn't really any detail at all when it came to actually the content of his attractions, if I remember correctly. It was just all like the build up, like, oh, this is happening and this is happening and we changed this to this.
It was a lot of
one thing though,
blog posts like style.
I love the pictures that he did. I love those posters that he made up. Like, that was some really good artwork.
If I remember correctly from Sorcerer's Apprentice, IDI was on my team, and I may be kind of having a blank right now, but or maybe getting him mixed up with, I believe, Armichael. But IDI or Armichael, one of them, during Sorcerer's Apprentice was kind of starting to work on on his artwork and his art skills. And
Yeah,
I think,
because I was really impressed by those posters. I love sort of like the minimalist style behind all of them. Really appeals to me.
yeah, minimalism is one of the things I do like.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always I'm always one for good critiquing. And he definitely has a way to go. I know that I have a way to go in my artwork and logo making, but I think for someone who, as far as I know, is fairly new to making art, it's really good and it's strong, and it adds to his whole presentation and to his project.
You guys have anything else to say about his whole like storyline, or did you already talk about that?
We talked about it. I think we all agree that it was really good. I thought it was just incredibly unique. So so I applaud him for that. It was one of my favorites because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, now let's get into Vipra. He delivered. Now I'm not sure what the name of his, because I thought the name of his area was Animation Magic, but then that's the name of the e-ticket. So can you guys help me out with that?
Yeah, it's called Walt Disney Studios. So basically, what he's looking to do is expand the animation studios section.
The park's called Disney Hollywood Studios. I'm sorry.
Exactly. Or whatever they're going to name it next, Disney Adventure, who knows?
Oh God.
I liked the concept behind this and elaborating more specifically on Disney films, which I find is kind of funny, given that it's Disney Hollywood Studios, and I find that there's not really a strong focus on Disney created content at the actual VHS.
Think about it.
Well, it's and I'll defend it. It'll always be MGM to me. The reason being is, again, a third, almost 2/3 of the park was the backstage tour, and what broke was when the backstage tour used to be about a 4 to 5 hour process. It was a walking tour, and it wasn't just that little tram that you would take. There was a whole. It was half a day, and that's why there aren't a lot of rides, because you go, you spend half the day, you eat lunch, you do the 2 or 3 rides, see the Indiana Jones show, and you leave.
Right, yeah, exactly.
When they trimmed it down and they pulled all of the television production and later the animation production out of MGM because they didn't want to leave Burbank, I can't blame them. The weather's better in California, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Florida was nice to go to while it was like raining and freezing over here in Louisiana, which is so strange.
Yeah, but it's not San Diego.
True. Yeah, I think I agree with you that losing the film studios put a real damp, just kind of pushed the whole park and made it, just hurt it in general. But I like how it flows with looking at his map. I like how it flows with the existing buildings and how it focuses on everything. The only thing that I don't think that fits is the Tron ride.
I totally 100% agree.
It seems kind of weird given that everything is focused on Disney animation. I would have preferred maybe a dark ride of Snow White, given that was like the first film. I think that would have been...
What if you went like kind of a similar direction to my African Queen ride and made a Tron ride that was almost semi-educational and kind of talked about like the blending of animation and maybe like the blending of CGI now with live action and how that's technically animation?
I don't know. I think those more CGI works better with Pixar than it would with Disney. Because from what I'm gathering from Viper's project, just kind of skimming through, there seems to be a lot of focus on those original attractions, or I should say those original what's the word? Hand-drawn animation films. And so maybe it would have been nice to
you're
see.
right. You're right. I mean, when you look at something like the big ticket animation ride, there's hardly anything CGI in there besides maybe Frozen.
See, and I had the same comment about T. Cole's project. I love the concept of the animation, but there's a lot more to the world of Disney animation than the princesses. And I think there is a fine line, and both of them did this because it's easy, because they're the biggest IPs, the biggest properties. Stitch belongs in the Disney Animation Studio at Hollywood Studios.
Yes.
Snow White does not, outside of maybe a movie poster and a queue. Yeah, she belongs in Fantasyland.
Yeah,
and
I feel the exact same freaking way about Frozen, but we won't get into that.
I think the only reason why I would have maybe liked to see a mention of Snow White is only and purely only because it's
historical context.
Yeah, it was their first film. But I agree with what you're saying, England, in that the princesses belong in Fantasyland. And I would like to see Stitch moved out of Tomorrowland.
Everyone would. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I like your comment last week, England, about how the toilet paper castle was worse than the birthday cake castle. I totally agree.
I wondered if you guys saw that. Yeah.
yeah, I did see it. Okay, let's see. I did, for the most part, really like his animation ticket. I thought the technology was pretty impressive for what he was describing. Like, I really liked the whole concept of the different projection mapping on the animatronics to give it like different layers of animation and everything like that. I guess my one issue is that you had to just have the obligatory, like, oh, and then you're in Frozen and Elsa's singing Let It Go. I'm like, really? 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 Does every Disney park attraction need to have Let It Go in it now? I'm sorry.
Yes, it does. Now that Disney has found that it makes them money.
I agree with Tiki. No, you can't justify it. I'm too old school.
Okay. Well,
don't make me get my cane.
It's almost as bad as like in the theater in theater, and I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's like this big cliche to sing "Defying Gravity" for anything. So like for any audition, you have those people that sing "Defying Gravity," and now.
To tell you the truth, I more hung out with redheads, so it was more. Let's see, I got a lot of Light My Candle. Light My Candle drove me crazy in high school. I don't know. I didn't really, but I don't have a ton of theater experience outside of high school, though. I'm sure the Defying Gravity people exist. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic because both of the songs are sung by the same person.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So, but
okay,
I guess
my one last thought is, like, this is totally just personal bias speaking here, but I really, 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 I thought Tron Legacy was such a turkey of a movie. I really hated that movie, and it was just one of those movies that it was like Phantom Menace for me, man. It was like, I had waited years and years and years for a Tron sequel, and then that's what we got. The only good thing about that movie to me is the Daft Punk soundtrack. So, I don't know. Again, this is just personal bias. I'm sure that there's plenty of people out there that like that movie just fine, and that's cool by me. Film is subjective. But, but I just, the fact that, like, you had all the characters from Tron Legacy and stuff, and it was essentially a sequel, I was like, no, I don't want to go back to those characters. I want to go back to the cool 1980s characters. Okay, but anyways, any last thoughts on Vipra?
Other than I think it's all agreed that Tron didn't really fit.
Yeah.
I think
for sure.
Come again?
I said for sure a good use of images on his part.
True.
I mean, it was solid, and it was probably the most complete, well-rounded. Is
what I did like is I liked how he carried over stuff that was already there. I felt that made it more realistic.
I agree, and I liked where he put it. Because there's actually
Yeah.
a garden back there that's no longer used. It used to be part of the backstage tour.
Okay.
Okay.
So if you go into Google Maps and you look, you'll see one of the buildings that he has. There's a little garden type thing back there that, again, that little courtyard used to be where you'd wait to go see the animators, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
And you used to actually enter from that side. So I was
Okay.
there
Yeah,
opening
it
year.
definitely is the most complete. And yeah.
All right, and now we get on to my project. Yeah.
Okay. Let
Um,
me scroll down so I can.
Well,
Get to
as
it.
you're skimming it, just let me. Yeah, I'll kind of give you a chance to skim it as I tell you kind of like my whole background with this project because, yeah, I really loved working on this thing. I know, like, I completely understand the criticisms of it, and that's fine. I'm honestly just happy I came in second place. I totally agree that T-Cool should have won. I think T-Cool did beat me hands down, fair and square. And I agree with all the criticisms, but to me, I don't know. Like, I've always had such an affinity for the African Queen. And I've always been fascinated by that movie in terms of, like, that film inspired so much. That film inspired so much when it came to the Jungle Cruise, and by extent, you know, like by inspiring the Jungle Cruise, that film basically inspired all Disney e-tickets to come after that. So, and it's just a wonderful movie. Like I watched it, I rewatched it in preparation for writing the project, and you know, as a kid, I liked it just because, like, oh, they're going down the river and it's exciting and fun. But no, I mean, like, if you watch that movie, like Hepburn and Bogart, their performances are just absolutely impeccable. It's a great storyline. It really, really holds up. So I definitely wanted to do an African Queen ride where it was sort of like an educational thing. And I just had all these images of, like, you know, like a green screen out in the middle of the jungle, you know, like cameras floating in the water, stuff like that. Basically an experience that kind of like took the excitement of the movie and then also the infamous kind of like production of that movie, which was at the time like one of the most rigorous and expensive film productions up to that point in Hollywood history. So, having said that, I can totally see everyone's problems where it's like African Queen isn't really noir. I mean, I think the Charlie Allnut character does kind of definitely fit into the noir mold, but I can see why people have a problem with that. I do agree it's out of place, even though the African Queen is my baby. It is like my pet project, part of this project. So it's the thing that I did spend the most time on. But I agree with the criticisms behind it. England,
Here's
I'll
my
go ahead and
opinion.
answer a question you had regarding my project, which was how would you simulate the nighttime? And I don't really think I explained it well at all. But basically, my whole idea was. Were you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, my whole idea was to have it be like Nocturne Alley at Universal, where it was literally like kind of like a covered like I'm not exactly sure how Nocturne Alley works, if it's like completely indoors, but my idea was to have it like basically like during the day it wouldn't be like completely enclosed, but there'd be enclosed enough so that it'd be like really shadowy, you know, like really dark every time you walk down there. And then of course at night the fog machines and everything, it really kind of lighten up. I don't know. In terms of I gotta say, I strongly disagree with R. Michael in his assessment that Roger Rabbit doesn't fit into a film noir land. I think if you're making a film noir land for Disney and, you know, you're thinking Disney in mind, I think Roger Rabbit is the perfect film noir Disney film. So,
I don't know. I kind of agree. I kind of agree with Michael on Roger Rabbit not fitting because it stands out, and it stands out in a way that I don't think necessarily fits. But kind of going over your whole project, I think the idea of focusing on noir, on noir in the golden age is a good idea. The only problem I have with it is I've never seen the African Queen, so
Watch it.
it kind of goes. I need to watch it, but it kind of goes over my head. And my only fright would be that people who haven't seen it, people like me, would go in and not be able to.
Which what I was
Really-
expecting that kind of
really
feedback
well.
going in, because I know these aren't like, I know the African Queen. I mean, by all means, I think it should be right up there with like something like a Casablanca or even a Who Framed Roger Rabbit in terms of just like a really iconic movie. But actually, there was a big kind of legal snafu, and I don't believe African Queen ever actually even got released on DVD. So, yeah, I watched it on VHS when I was a kid, and then I just watched it streaming now. So
Okay.
that's how I got a hold of it.
I'll
But it's
definitely
not
have
the
to check it out.
easiest film to get a hold of. It's definitely like not as universally well known as something like Casablanca would be.
But
But I think
I do think, though, to your point, not being aware of the IP doesn't necessarily mean that the ride wouldn't be enjoyed, or something that, if the ride was done well enough and you got off it, whether you knew the history of it or not,
True.
just like riding Great Movie Ride,
Sure.
my 10-year-old doesn't
That's a
know
good
half
point.
those movies are, but she's
I
never
don't know
seen-
what half those movies are.
but she still enjoys it, though, and
that's a good
Oh.
point.
so I think if the ride is done well, it actually is a good risk to take to not make something a well-known IP.
Right.
And I
And
think
like I said, the African Queen directly ties back to Disney park history in a very major way.
That is a good point. But overall, like the whole area is a very nice area, and I like the idea behind it. And I agree with what I like what England said about it. Kind of introduces people to something that they may not have known about. Or
Right,
stuff that
and
they
in
don't know.
terms of like doing like an actual like hard-boiled sort of film noir attraction and not a Roger Rabbit or an African Queen, I had a really hard time with that, because it's like, what would I do? In terms of like something that would actually fit in with Disney, it's like I'm not going to do like a Vertigo project or something like that, or like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, England, can you think of a film noir that you could adapt into a Disney ride?
not offhand.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's tricky, It's like,
Yeah.
I guess the closest thing would be Dick Tracy, but I didn't want to just resurrect Dick Tracy's Crime Stoppers. I mean, and I did have the nod to Dick Tracy in there as it was, so
Yeah.
so that was really my issue. I mean, if I was designing something for Universal Studios, I would have totally used Sin City. Because I think Sin City could make an amazing Universal Studios attraction. But, of course, Sin City would not fit at all into Disney, of course.
Since you went down
So I
Sunset
don't know.
Boulevard,
That was my issue. Like, maybe I should have done more in terms of like, I agree that it's like the overall vibe of the land is noir, and yet the African Queen is not noir. It's more Bogart, and of course Casablanca. I mean, I guess Casablanca is kind of like, it's a mix of noir and different elements, but it's definitely got some noir flavor in there. In terms of the cantina, that was definitely the thing that I lost the most progress on, because I had like a whole thing written out, like of the seating area and everything, and like seedy stuff that would be going on, like thematic elements and architecture, and that all got lost. So that's kind of the thing I regret the most about the project, was that I really wanted the Casablanca cantina to be way more detailed than it ended up being.
a quick question about your loss. When you say you lost it, did you lose it in Were you typing it directly into WDW Magic?
I was typing it directly into WDW Magic, and I pushed the backspace button, and it sent my whole page back, and then when I went forward again, all my progress was gone.
All right, I'm going to share this for everybody.
I was kind of adding things in as I went, so every time I'd finish a section, I'd add it into the overall project.
Yeah,
So, like I said, the thing that was gone was the Dick Tracy stuff was gone, but that was fine because that was only a couple paragraphs anyways. The thing that really killed me, though, was that I had a really elaborate Roger Rabbit queue, as well as I said, the Casablanca stuff.
Well,
So that's what killed me. And
what I was going to say is,
for the record, I have a tendency to say melodramatic stuff when I'm frustrated, and I very much apologize for my I should just quit comment. That was out of line. I have absolutely no intention of quitting, and I very much apologize to everyone for that, because I hate when I let my frustration and stress get the better of me like that. It's something I need to work on.
There is a save button on the WDW Magic Editor. Did you know that? That you can save a draft? That's what I was...
there's a save button.
I've lost work. This is how I know it exists. There's a save button where you can actually save your drafts. So if you're doing it straight into the editor, and this is just advice to everyone, just tap that every now and then like you would in a Word document, and man, it will save you so much heartache and so much
thing that I do. This is like I know I use the save button, but another thing that I do is I'll open up a Word document on my computer, and I'll just copy everything and put it in a Word document. And so every time that I finish a paragraph, I add that paragraph on. So that way, if the save button doesn't work or if something of that nature happens, I can also go back and copy everything. But I've done that less because the save button works well.
So before we move on to T-Cools, I just want to ask you, Tiki, did you enjoy setting off the censorship filter that many times in a single post?
With Dick Tracy. I mean, what else was I gonna do? I didn't know. Oh God. Just a couple other quick things about my project, because again, it's my baby, so I kind of like to gloat about it a little bit. England. Now, it's funny that you said that you thought that the Roger Rabbit stuff was by far like the best part of the project, right?
Yes, I believe so. Yep. Yeah.
That's really funny, because I was literally like rushing to get that out in like 20 minutes. I just crapped that out of my keyboard.
Well,
so I guess really stressed hard work pays off. I mean, I knew going into the African Queen thing, I knew that was going to be a risk in terms of like the whole edutainment thing and the production angle of it and everything like that. And as you guys have said, how it's not a very well-known IP. The African Queen just means a lot to me as a film fan and as a kind of an old-school Disney design fan. So I just really wanted to work it in. I'm very proud of the way that I used the private eye. In England, I should have spelled it out, but you told me to spell it out. I apologize for that. But all the private eye windows, just like the Main Street windows, I really enjoyed writing all that stuff out. I thought that was some of the strongest detail I had. And I really don't want to gloat about this point, but I feel like I kind of have to. Everyone else did Disney-related stuff. T-Cool did Toontown, Viper did animation, ITI did Pixar, Swyland did Pixar. England, I'll give you credit, because you had Labyrinth and also American Graffiti, which I felt were really ballsy choices that I felt really would have paid off if done correctly. And of course, as the Petaluma native, I salute you for saluting our hometown film. But it was just, fact of the matter is, I definitely feel like I had the most original concept out of the bunch. I feel like that can't even be argued.
Yeah, I give you that. Toontown seemed like the obvious one.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean, not that T-Cool didn't do a great job with Toontown, and we'll get into that, but I did I took Carmichael's words to heart when he said, like take risks, don't do something predictable. And I gotta say, as much as I liked a lot of these projects, I really don't think there's a bad project in this bunch at all. But Pixar Place isn't taking a risk, like an animation branch off of the Hollywood studios and taking a risk. I think what I did, exposing these film noir kind of classics, and even something like Roger Rabbit, which needs more exposure, I think that took a lot more of a risk than anything else in the lineup. So, again, I'm just going to go ahead and give myself a big old pat on the back for that. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, you brought Roger Rabbit into your concept, but you weren't the only one. Tiki did a pretty interesting job with Roger Rabbit as well. One that I really liked with Maroon Studios.
Yeah.
Well, let's just get into that right now. I'm just saying in terms of, like, the risk of my project was taking kind of these lesser-known properties and also, kind of having an educational ride. I took a lot of risks, but let's get into Tiki. I like the fact that he has multiple Roger Rabbit projects. I really enjoyed the Benny flat ride for some reason. I don't know. It's just like that's just one of the things with me. It's like I really enjoy a well thought out flat ride. I think it can add a lot of spice to a project. So that was nice to see. And yeah, as you said, the Roger Rabbit splashdown, that was a fun treat. That was really fun.
Oh yeah, that is probably my favorite part of next to the great animated movie ride. The splashdown was one of my favorites. At first, when I was first looking through this project, I was kind of wondering why it won, but after like reading more into it, it was very well done, and it kind of combines the best of Toontown and what you would want to see from a Toontown in Disney Studios. I kind of want to like retweet this on the forum in general, because it reminds isn't it Mr. Harrington, who's I believe that's his name. He does a lot of M. Harrington. He does a lot of Toontown stuff. And I thought this was a good execution of Toontown and a good execution of Studios. So yeah, that's kind of mine.
I still need to post my Toontown Tower of Terror project. You guys still need to read that. That thing was off the charts.
Yeah, we should make an archive thread to bring over the So You Want to Be an Imagineer stuff over into WW Magic.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, So You Want to Be an Imagineer was unexpectedly closed, so we're going to have to go into the Wayback for that, but that's a whole different story. But we're working on
wow.
Yeah.
So, I was pretty critical of Tiki, but that's only because he, A, had the most content out of anybody, hands down, and B,
I'll agree with that for sure.
He was the first one that I read. So I was getting tired. By the time I got to the later projects, I was getting tired of every little thing that I noted. So sorry, Tiki, I wasn't trying to be overly critical. I think he hit on a problem here that we all run into. I think he got overambitious. He had 2 restaurants when he really only needed 1. He had 2 shops when he really only needed 1, and as a result, neither one was really done as well as it could have been. Because he had to split his time, and that's kind of how I felt. I did not like the Great Animated Movie Ride. I thought it was a great concept, but I kind of tore it apart in my written review, and it's the same thing. It's not Fantasyland. I don't want to see
I feel like Vibra did kind of a very similar concept, but he did it a lot better and a lot more original.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because with this, it was more just like, hey, guys, we're going through animated movies. Whereas with Viper, it's like, yeah, you are in an animated movie. You are involved with it.
Yeah. I like England said, I like the concept of having a great animated movie ride. I think it's a nice...
I still want my Great Muppets movie ride, damn it.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of, was the builds. They were going to build that, and I wish they would go ahead and do it.
England, you and me both, we know that we need that thing in our lives.
That kind of brings up an interesting point. I was surprised that no one did the Muppets.
I thought about it.
Like did an expansion of the Muppets. I would have liked to see that.
I thought about it, and the reason why I didn't is because I've already done
one. Muppets Most Wanted, as much as I love that movie, it didn't do very well at the box office, and I feel Disney in general is kind of like gonna put the Muppets back in the vault a little bit. So as much as I would have loved to design a Muppets attraction or a Muppets project, I feel like it wouldn't have been the most lucrative IP to work with.
You see, I already did Henson Studios, so I've already done one. It's on. I've already done Henson Studios, and I didn't want it to be a carbon copy of something because I'm going to come up with the same ideas. I might call them slightly different. I might describe them.
Right.
I already know what I want to do with that area. I know I want a Fraggles ride. I know I want a Labyrinth ride. And the Labyrinth was my nod to the fact that I wanted a Henson Studios there. That's why I put the Labyrinth ride in here. Because it transitions. RM didn't get that, I don't think. The idea is that there would eventually be a Henson Studio where Muppets 3D is now, and that, and in my mind. And so that would be the transition into Lucas because it was a joint property they both did.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
So that's why I
kind of want to
right where I put it.
Now I kind of want to like see you like do just your own take on all of DHS. And,
I have.
Like,
it's called.
Where is it?
It's called Hollywood Studios Love. It's on WDW Magic. It was my first thread ever posted.
Okay, I need to go and find that.
It's in Imagineering. It's in there.
Okay, that is gonna become my new.
But it's in there.
Read.
Yeah.
I'll
very long. I've changed a lot since then, but it's about 3 years old.
Okay.
But I agree though. The Benny the Cab ride though was awesome. I thought the Silly Symphony Cafe was really well done. A lot of potential. I just think the challenge is, do you get distracted on trying to create so much that you actually water down your end product? And I think in this case that's kind of it. And I know this because I'm guilty. Think back to how I lost Sorcerer's Apprentice. It's because we went in every direction except the one direction we needed to go in.
Yeah, I remember that. I was actually kind of getting worried when I was reading through y'all's PM. I was getting worried about not enough focus on the park. But not to bring up Sorcerer's Apprentice, I did think that you guys did well with that in general.
Yeah.
All right. So what's next?
So are we done? Do we have anything else to say about T-Cool?
I've said all I have. I typed it all out yesterday, so there's no reason to be down with it.
No, like I said, I mean, to touch on something you said, England, about the balance, like, that's why I very much concentrate on, like, okay, I want to have one shop and do it really good. I want to have one restaurant and do it really good. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, that one restaurant kind of turned into a train wreck, but that's a whole different story. Then I felt like the two attractions complemented each other because one was kind of like a ticket, zany thrill ride. The other one was, while still adventurous, definitely more laid back and educational. But having said that, I T-Cool, in terms of, like, of course his was more better organized than mine was. I really need to get on this website thing. The only reason I don't do it is because I'm just a hipster about it. I'm just like, no, I'm too obscure to use it. But I really need to jump on it. But no, I think everything that T-Cool had was fantastic for the most part. I agree with England, except for I felt Great Animated Movie Ride was a bit lackluster. But all in all, I definitely was not upset with the result. I was very pleased to get number 2, and I was fine losing to T-Cool because he had an outstanding work. So what else can I say?
Yeah.
All right, so England, now let's kind of just briefly talk about, it was not a very short, or it wasn't a very long transition from getting the results of the project and who won immunity and everything to getting the votes. Now, I got to ask, after you knew you didn't win immunity, did you think you were screwed?
No.
No?
I didn't think I was going out. I thought it would either be Joker or Little Giants.
Okay, because
the voting trend kind of showed that. But the politics shot me in the foot. So.
Yeah, and it's like I wish that the whole I feel like Jokers and Giants not presenting a project kind of like makes it just kind of a little bit of a black mark on your eviction, which I agree. Like, if I was in that situation too, I would have been kind of upset about that. Like, okay, like let's flash back a week to when I was, when I was in the Swap Sclarona tribe, let's say they decide to vote me out instead of Infinite, I would have been really upset about that because Wyland barely contributed anything to that project. I mean, he contributed the logo at the very end, which got us something, but you know what I mean? I was working on that project the whole week, and Swyland pretty much did nothing with it.
Yeah,
so, not to take anything from Swyland, I'm not slamming him at all. I'm sure he had very, very good reasons for not showing up, but I'm just saying, if I were in your shoes, I think I'd be taking it a lot less classier than you are. Let's just say that.
Well,
I mean, like, what the heck, Michael? There's people that are not even submitting, and you eliminate me. Rah 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 rah.
Again, it's
That's
not
how I would have acted.
Now, we talk about strategy. Would I do that in Sorcerer's Apprentice? Heck yes, because there's a difference. In the Sorcerer's Apprentice, our Michael, or in this case JDM, is making the decision, and I can yell at him all day long.
Absolutely.
Our Michael has no control over who votes what. None. So, he can make changes and tweaks and nods, but we're past the merge now, and at this point, the politics are the politics. People got together and they said, "I want him out," and that's what happened.
I think England. I think that that our Michael still could have maybe said, "Well, since these two people didn't submit anything, your only options in voting are Little Giants or Joker's Wild."
But the rule was already in place that if someone didn't present a project, that they get a penalty vote. So if he would have done that, he would have had to directly contradict his own rules.
Yeah, and I think his rules are fair. I mean, I can't. Not every game. Let me rephrase that. Every game has its own rules and its own tactics that you take. And in this one, I decided not to play politics, which is a political decision. I decided not to have alliances.
Of course.
And because I didn't want to get dragged into a he said, I'm going to
right
ball sort of thing, at least not until we got a little bit further into the merge. And, at that point, would I start to kind of feel out where people are? Yeah. But, no, I mean, was it a smart move to get me out at this point? Probably. But it is also the nature of the game. So, am I bitter about it? Not at all. The only thing is I agree with Tiki. It feels like a little bit of a slap in the face, and I know Joker said he was going to try, that there were 2 projects that didn't get posted, especially when I drove home from the grocery store and tried to cram something out in 45 minutes.
Yeah, we was going to post, and then you did, and yeah.
And I'm like, you could at least post, hey guys, I'm going to do Lucas Studios, thanks. And that's cool. At least I lost it.
Right.
But to post nothing, no, that's, I don't know, that's a little disrespectful to the group, not just to me. But
no, I agree. I mean, it's like, we'll see what happens with Little Giants. I mean, from what I know of Little Giants, he usually gets distracted by like his fraternity buddies and everything like that. No, I'm not saying that is a bad thing. By all means, I just sit around on the computer all day. I don't have friends. What is this concept of friends? So it's like, the fact that Little Giants has a social life, I'm not going to hold that against him.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you. It would have been nice if he would have at least said, like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to turn something in this week. Or, at least given us something. And because then that presents the problem of our Michael having to wait around. Like, how long does he wait before grading? And that's a whole ordeal. So, I don't know. I still kind of wish that there was a system in place that was like kind of a strike system in terms of how many projects you were allowed to not turn in, because that's just like it's the game. It's like that's why like with So You Want to Be an Imagineer, the game has slightly different dynamics in that when you merge, you're still working in a team. You're just working, in a team composed of all different people from the 2 tribes.
Yeah.
So the team dynamic
will
go on. And England, we probably wouldn't have voted you out right away, because if we want to make halfway decent projects, it's like we would want to keep your skills around. So it's like, So You Want to Be an Imagineer has a different dynamic that's kind of leaning more towards Big Brother, but I won't get into it. But
I feel that if we had a strike system, this would still be their first strike, and I think that I don't think he should implement it now. If he wants to, if Armichael wants to, I think he should do it for the next season or next time he does it.
Yeah.
We're too far in the game, but
I mean, God, you guys should see the first season. So you want to be an Imagineer? It is nothing. I repeat, nothing like how the game actually evolved into in its current state.
I think we would still be mad about it, even if there was a strike system, because I think it's kind of human nature for us to want to see a harsh penalty, almost automatically.
I don't. I mean, I think real life always trumps.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
This is a hobby. This is
yeah.
a hobby. I try to describe it to friends and family, and I say this is no different than having a model railroad fan. Except it costs less, and
right.
It's a hobby, and the minute it becomes more than that, you got a problem. But.
Like me, when I start freaking out and just like doing all this melodramatic stuff.
Oh yeah, dude, that's fun. And I'm not I'm never known to freak out. I've never ever done that.
I think I do a lot of these different types of competitions. I do. Are any of you guys familiar with Games Bids?
No.
It's like an Olympic fan forum, and they do a lot of logo competitions, and they do a lot of different bid book competitions and stuff. And I only start freaking out if I have like a logo or a bid book to turn in, and I haven't done it at all, and so I just have to go home and rush and try and turn in something.
Yeah.
Going back to the point, do I think that there should be a strike system? I don't know. That's up to the community. It's up to RM. It's his game.
Yeah.
Do I think even if there were a strike system, it would have changed the vote this week? Maybe I'd be around another week. But obviously, there was a political group.
I don't know. I
against me.
Do not think it would have changed the vote. I just think it would have. I just think having a strike system in place would just kind of make it so that people would, I don't know, try harder to get at least something in. But no, England, I mean, I hate to say it, buddy, from the beginning of the game, it was just kind of inevitable, the way the dynamics shook out. It's like from the beginning of the game, you were going to be the merge boot if you lost immunity. I mean, it's just as you said, your whole thing is you are such a valuable player when it comes to, the tribe-based gameplay, when it comes to it being in a group, and you're also obviously an unbelievably talented individual player, but when the game becomes individual, that's when being incredibly talented in all those different areas bites you. So I agree with you. It's absolutely politics, and I just, I just kind of ride the wave of it. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm just sort of all right, I just want to figure out where the numbers are and then just go from there. I'm not trying to pull off any sort of complicated maneuvers or anything like that, but
I don't think having a strike system would necessarily make people turn it in. It may make them freak out a bit more, but if you get caught up, which I think Little Giants did, if you get caught up in life and everything that's going on, it kind of becomes a priority kind of thing. And
I'm saying if we get to the point where they're doing this kind of stuff, multiple projects in a row.
True, yeah. But when I was
if we get to a point where we literally don't see a project turned in from Little Giants 3 projects in a row, that's going to be a concern. Yeah. That's going to be very problematic.
Right, but again,
I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying hypothetically, if that were to happen. Next episode, we're having a reward challenge and an immunity challenge. So let's say he turns in neither a reward challenge or an immunity project. I don't know. I feel like at that point, when someone is just obviously not around, I gotta say, I hate to bring this guy back into it, but it kind of turns into a Jose situation.
Well,
where it's
my point is, and this is where I think the tribal voting, actually works. Because it self-regulates. So here's how it becomes interesting, okay? Just imagine we were watching this as a TV show, okay? you may feel that way, Tiki, but you know what? I'm Zweiland. I want you out because that makes my life easier. You got to convince me to vote Little Giants out because if I'm Zweiland, I'm coasting all the way to the end, and I want to go against Little Giants because he's going to get busy with his frat buddy or whatever his friend is in real life, where he's got a final. That's more likely, and he's not going to post. And now I've won, and so that now you have to start playing those back end politics that I didn't play at all.
Right, and I think
I guess saying, here's why this is
almost sort of a moral dilemma at this point.
Well, but you got to make that play. You got to say, hey guys, you know, if he's not contributing, we got, you know, do we really want the final to be somebody who coasted through all the way to the end without participating to his fullest, or at least participating on and off, or at least communicating? Now, I'm not saying, again, we all know that Little Giants will be back, and we know that what he's capable of when he can focus. Whatever's going on with his personal life right now, he needs to be focused on that. And but my point is, I don't think we need to make some arbitrary system. I think the system self-regulates because you guys can do the voting. Just like what's happened in some other situations with some other people in other competitions who got eliminated. You know, the system self-regulates. So yeah, that's kind of my thought. And it's fun to watch because now that I'm not in it, I get to watch you guys go at each other's throats, and it's
It is. And now that we're at the final 7, historically in Survivor, the final 7 is where all the craziness starts to go down. So yeah, from here on out, it should be a really fun ride.
Kind of going, and I guess, do we want to like start talking about our drafts or?
Yeah, we need to do the fantasy league before you sign out. Yeah. So are we done eulogizing England?
What's that?
I said, are we done eulogizing you?
I think we're done. I think if you have bagpipes, somebody has bagpipes.
I'll do you one better. I'll do the sad Hulk music.
Oh, that'll work.
Da, 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 England is gone. All right, I'm sorry.
Tiki, you should do like a Tiki music album, and like.
Okay, look in my YouTube channel, like way back, like last September, I did like 3 Christopher Walken songs of the day.
Oh my gosh.
I did Weird Al's Jackson Park Express. I did the Pokemon theme song, and I forget what the other song I did is. But yeah, that is a thing that exists.
well,
right, so you guys are on to the draft, right?
Yes.
I think I'm gonna bow out. Now. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, bounce. All right. Well, England, you will be. Hopefully, we can get you back sometime soon for the exit interview because I very much look forward to talking to you about your game, kind of on a project by project level. But until then, thanks for being on with us. Have a good night.
Yeah, it was my pleasure.
All right. See ya.
See ya.
All right, Sam.
Okay, so I would like to say before we go on and do the fantasy draft, I think that you may be the next to go.
You think I might be the next to go? Really?
I think, and that is nothing personal, but I think just the shock and surprise and twists that have been happening, especially with England going, which I did not see coming at all. That was a total.
You see, I don't think England was a blindside at all. I think everyone was talking about getting rid of him at the merge. So it's like.
But I didn't think that they would want to get rid of him so quickly. You know what I mean?
No, we all wanted to get rid of him the first chance we got, because if we didn't, there is out of anyone in this group, there's because the thing with England is that, like, if you keep him in, not only do you keep him in, you also give him the opportunity to win immunity and spoil the plans that other alliance members have. So you know what I mean? It's like if we get down to like a core alliance, and then England's there as the last member of, as the last person who's not in the alliance, what do you do when England wins? You have to start cannibalizing yourself, and that's not good. So I think everyone involved, we just want to make, like, just get him out, it was just a Godfather type it needed to happen, and it happened. I don't know.
It definitely needed to happen at some point, but
I will tell you that being number two ranked, that's both an honor and a blessing, a curse and a blessing for
Mhm.
sure. Because now I've got, now I've got a little bit more of a target on my back for that.
Yeah.
Now everyone knows that, I mean, here's the thing with me. Presentation-wise, I always kind of fall flat. Like, people always say my work's disorganized and whatnot. I feel like prose-wise, I'm not afraid to say this, I feel prose-wise, I'm kind of at the top of the league when it comes to just putting sentences together and descriptions and whatnot, and really kind of crafting a written project that really makes you feel like you're there and not just like, here's what's going to be here. So
I actually think that maybe Little Giants could have you beat there.
you see, I haven't seen Little Giants' individual work yet.
Little Giants is a fantastic writer. I would have to say he's probably the best writer on the forums so far. Him and Zweeland, when you put their writing together, I mean, you could go through Europe with it. I mean, it's great. And yours is too. Don't get me wrong.
Oh.
But I think another person that may have a target on their head could be Tiki, given that he won.
Yeah, that's always a double-edged sword of winning immunity, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or maybe even strategically, maybe even if people are thinking strategically, then maybe even Zweeland.
Right.
Because Zweeland is I think Zweeland is now what England was in terms of.
I agree with you to a certain extent. I just don't think Zweeland has kind of the myth built up about him that England does.
But keep in mind, Zweeland Zweeland won Sorcerer's Apprentice.
He won, but I'm not going to hold that against him, though.
True. But I think another thing that kind of goes in Zweeland's favor is, and England had the same thing. I really like England as just a member a lot, and I think a lot of people like Zweeland too, especially if you've ever if you're ever in a team with him.
Oh, of course, and as I've said, I really bonded with England in the short time I was with them on Sclarona, specifically, as I've said time and time again, on the Pokemon project.
Yeah, I mean, Zweeland is one of those members that it's easy to get along with them and stuff. But I don't know, maybe Tiki could go. But I don't know. I guess let's.
Do you have a name for your fantasy team?
We're gonna be the Magicians.
Ooh, the Magicians. Okay.
Yeah. Or the Hecklers. Either one.
Well, you already said Magicians, and I'm writing it down, so you're the Magicians.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to stick it to my friend Jokers, and I'm going to call us Tiki's Jokers. Yeah,
okay.
Figure that one out. Tiki's Jokers. And this will be, of course, my second fantasy team. I'm in the midst. I'm down one member from England, but I'm in the midst of the fantasy draft that I have going on with Jokers. That Little Giants is kind of taken over. So, all right, so the way this is going to work is that there are 7 people currently left in this game, and Sam and I will both draft 3 members of our team. One person will sadly be left out. Hopefully there's no hard feelings or anything there. We don't want to exclude anyone. That's just the nature of having odd numbers. Sam, I will flip a coin, and you can go ahead and call in the air to see who goes first, okay?
Okay, let's see. Who should I pick?
No. Call in the air. Call in the air with the coin. Call it.
I'll go heads.
You go heads? Okay. And I don't know if you can see it, but it is in fact tails. So I will go first. And for my first official draft pick, I will go ahead and pick Tiki.
Solid choice.
Yeah. All right. What is your first pick?
My first pick I'm gonna pick Little Giants.
Oh, really? Is your first pick? Wow.
My first
Okay,
pick.
that's surprising. Okay.
It's gonna be LG.
All right. Okay, I think I am going to go. I really liked IDI's project. I'm basically just
Mhm.
drafting these based on the projects that I like. So I'm going to go IDI.
Okay. Um, I'll go Sweetland.
We'll go Zealand.
I'll go Sweetland.
All right. Well, shoot. I'm one of the last two people, and I'm not going to leave myself out. So I guess it's me on my team again. Yeah. So that means I'm sorry, Jokers, but you have been excluded from this fantasy draft.
Well, I haven't picked my third yet.
Oh, that's
Um,
true. Okay. I'm sorry. So who's left then? Vipra and Jokers.
yeah, we have Viper and Joker. Can you flip a coin for me? Because I want to be because I would equally love them to be on my league. So could you like flip a coin? I guess heads will be Joker, tails will be Vipra.
Sure, by all means. Okay, oops.
Oh.
I'll do that over. I like that. I like that. Just so it's fair, or just so you're not specifically excluding anyone. I like your approach to that. Okay. And when you say heads was Joker, tails is Vipra?
Yeah.
Well, looks like Vipra's coming on down.
Awesome.
Da, 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 da.
Welcome, Vipra. You are a magician now.
Okay, so to recap, we have on the Magicians, we have Little Giants, Zwyland, and Vipra. And on the Jokers, we have T-Cool, IDI, and the original Tiki. Yeah. And ironically enough, not included in either Magicians or Jokers is Joker. So sorry about that, Joker. All right, so Sam, this has been a really fun time. Really, really good conversation. Anything else you want to say to wrap it up? Any final predictions about how the season's going to play out from here?
I think this season is just really gonna be a wild season. And just to kind of final word of advice to everyone is don't let the I guess at this point in time you can get a bit tired. So just don't let down your guard. Keep your guard up, and above all, read The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli, and maybe just maybe watch a few House of Cards episodes and be like
oh dear.
Mr. Francis.
You want them to start sprinkling dogs now, Sam?
Hey, I'm just giving advice to everyone, so no one in particular.
Well, if I were to give any advice, I would advise them to watch Survivor.
Yeah, true.
Freaking, what's it called? What's the season called? Damn it, where are they? Why am I trying to blank on this?
Is it Africa?
No, it's not Africa. Where are they? Shoot. Oh, it's Worlds Apart.
Wait,
that's
this new season.
They literally didn't even give a location at the beginning of the series. They're just like, we're on Survivor somewhere.
Really?
But yeah, Survivor Worlds Apart, I would definitely recommend everyone watch that Wednesdays at 8 if you haven't done so already. Or, hell, just go back and rewatch older episodes of Survivor or older seasons. I can recommend Survivor of the Amazon, Survivor Pearl Islands, Survivor Philippines was really good, Survivor Cagayan. I'm a personal really big fan of Survivor Gabon. I think that's a really underrated one, but I could go here all day on Survivor seasons. So that's not what we're here to talk about. Sam, thank you for joining me, and we will be sure to have you on again soon. And
no problem.
We'll see how the draft plays out. And in the meantime, this has been the Sole Imagineer Tribal Council, and for England, the tribe has in fact spoken. And we will see you guys again next week. Away,
Peace.
away, 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 away,
After show.
away, da 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 da. Okay, see you guys.